Hey guys, how's it going? So I'm going to talk about the beginning and the end of HR 1808. And this is the so-called assault weapons ban, the assault weapons bill. Look, that's not my terminology. These are honestly just common firearms, semi-automatics that are used by many Americans, including you. But that is what this is called. Now, before I read the very beginning of it, this is important. I don't think many of you have read the very beginning and the very end. Let's go back to 1776, the Declaration of Independence. And it clearly states where rights come from. All men are created equal, and they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. And among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So rights come from your Creator. And it also says these are laws of nature and of nature's God. So that's where rights come from, to get that out of the way. Let's fast forward 15 years later to 1791 with the Second Amendment, which wasn't actually written to you. It was written to the government, to Congress, telling them, hands off. They can't touch your guns. And that simply states a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That's the law of the land as amended to the United States Constitution. Now, let's look at the beginning of HR 1808. We can see all of the people who sponsored this bill, and this has passed the House Committee and has been forwarded on favorably to the United States House of Representatives. And I'm just going to read the very first sentence and then the very end of it. Stick around. Wait till you hear what's in the end. If you want to know more about this, check out my last live stream on the channel. I went over much of this bill in depth. The very beginning, after we just established what the Second Amendment says, which is the supreme law of the land, a bill to regulate assault weapons, to ensure that the right to keep and bear arms is not unlimited, and for other purposes. So right there. Right in our face, this is literally how it starts. It is not unlimited, which is the same way of saying it is limited. Although the Second Amendment says, shall not be infringed. Now you can see this is quite thick. It's well over 100 pages. We're going to go to the very end. But before I do that, we have three branches of government, right? We have the executive, which is normally the president, or the former vice president in this case. We have the legislative, that's Congress. They make law. Then we have the judicial, right? That's part of the checks and balances. And if a law is unconstitutional, it can be struck down in the courts, as we've seen recently with the Bruin decision, striking down a long-held New York law. It's having far-reaching implications across the country. So many people say, well, this is an unconstitutional bill. If it becomes law, it will be struck down with the courts. And what I'm about to read to you shows how brazen and how bold the House of Representatives actually is. And real quick before I read this, we're going to go to a very early Supreme Court case, and that's Marbury v. Madison. Very important court case in the history of the judicial system in the United States. And it says, a law that is repugnant to the Constitution is void. Okay, obviously. Now look at this. This is Section 7. This is the very end of this thick bill. Severability. If any provision of this act, an amendment made by this act, or the application of such provision or amendment to any person or circumstance is held to be unconstitutional, the remainder of this act, the amendments made by this act, and the application of such provision or amendment to any person or circumstance shall not be affected thereby. So if it's found to be unconstitutional, right there, you guys can look at that yourself and tell me what you think about that down there in the comments. HR 1808, this so-called assault weapons ban. Will it pass? Well, no, probably not. There's the Senate, there's the filibuster, unless, of course, it does, because everyone's too complacent and doesn't care, doesn't bother to get a hold of their reps, doesn't bother to turn out to elections. Because everyone was saying that the last so-called gun control compromise bill wasn't going to pass. until it did actually pass the House committee, then the House, then the Senate, and then signed by Biden into law. We just had a gun control law passed not very long ago. I know this is repugnant not only to the Constitution, but repugnant to all of you watching. And I'm not going to tell you this is going to pass, but we just did see gun control that wasn't going to pass, if you know what I mean. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and have a good one.